Hey everyone, welcome back to Movie Studio. Today I'm here with a special video for you guys. I have an interview with YouTuber Ryan Cam, and thanks so much for joining me.
Hey, Micah, thank you so much for having me. It's a privilege as always.
hmm Yeah, and before we get started, Ryan's channel will be linked below. And we did a video where, actually multiple videos. One was on our friend Rachel's channel. We talked about Ratatouille. That was a lot of fun. And then Rachel and Ryan joined me for a Disney live action remakes podcast. And you can check that out in the link below as well. So yeah, it's always fun to have Ryan on and Rachel as well. Halloween is coming up just in a couple of days. So Ryan, what are your plans for Halloween this year?
Well, I'm actually going to a Halloween party this year. A friend of mine said, "Hey, you want to come to my Halloween party this year?" And I'm like, "I'm not entirely social, so I'm not sure if I should go." But he twisted my arm, and I'm going. I'm going as Superman this year, and I'll have a picture of me in costume on social eventually. But Amazon took forever and a half to get the costume here, but it's finally here. Um, this is a recent friend of mine. We've known each other for about 6 months or so, so he's recent, but he's become really crucial for me to stuff outside of my channel. I'll spare you all the boring details, but that's the extent of my plans this year. Normally, I would see The Shining in movie theaters, but well, you all know what's going on there, so.
hmm Yeah, as far as my plans, I think just going to be going classic trick or treating this year, as Jughead Jones from Riverdale, and I'll have a picture of that on my socials as well. But I thought it would be nice, and I thought it would be nice to go, and I'm glad that you even are doing trick or treating this year based on the circumstances. Yeah. My first question for you is, so what ins well, so really quick, Ryan has done a Halloween slash horror series on his channel called Scary Mania, and I checked out a couple of the videos, and they're a lot of fun. And I thought I would ask you, what inspired you to create this series?
So one of my inspirations for my channel is James Rolfe, the angry video game nerd. He's one of the original YouTubers. He was there like on the ground floor, especially in terms of the review genre. But while he was always known for his video game reviews, he did a series every year called Monster Madness, where he would review 31 horror slash monster movies in 31 days. When I started up my channel back in like late 2015, I had always promised myself that I would do something along the lines of a Monster Madness type of marathon. But because new releases were coming out and other things I had to review just got in the way. But in a weird roundabout way, 2020 has allowed me to, because movie theaters are essentially closed, it's given me the opportunity to explore different stuff, like doing the AFI project or doing Scary Mania, reviewing 31 horror movies in 31 days. My biggest concern was that I was afraid people were going to be like, oh, you're just trying to copy off the angry video game nerd, which, I mean, I never really considered that while I was planning it. I was thinking to myself, oh, I'm going to review 31 horror movies in 31 days. It's going to be awesome, just like the nerd. Oh, wait. And it was like, oh boy, people are going to call me a rip-off artist. But thankfully, that's been kept to a minimum. And I've tried to keep my reviews completely separate from the movies that he's reviewed, with the exception of maybe some of the silent classics, because when you're doing a horror movie marathon, you can't not do it without talking about Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, Nosferatu, or The Phantom of the Opera. It's kind of unavoidable.
Yeah. So, how have you, obviously 31 movies in 31 days is a lot. Do you watch the movies ahead of time? And do you like watch them yeah, how do you like just watching matched up to like recording and everything?
Well, about 75% of them I watched ahead of time. The ones that I chose, I based around stuff that I had seen a bunch of times before, like The Shining. It's my all-time favorite horror movie. I've seen it too many times to mention, so that was a given. And I have a pretty good memory when it comes to movies, so I can remember without going too deep into like rewatching it. Like, oh, I remember that. That was really good. Sometimes I'll look up a clip just to reinforce a theory that I had. Like, was this as good as I thought? And it would be either a yes or a no.
Mhm.
In terms of movies like The Exorcist or something like that, I watched those for the first time. So it's a good mixture of things I've seen before plus things I'm watching for the first time.
Okay. Yeah, every I think that every person who's reviewed something has seen some of the movies before, but then there's new ones that they have to go and review. And typically, you should watch. I think that watching them all again is a pretty good idea. Um, so what has been so out of all of them? I know that you haven't finished the series yet, but what has been your favorite one so far of the horror movies?
Well, I guess I'm biased towards The Shining. It's my all-time favorite horror movie, like I said. That was a lot of fun to review. I've been meaning to review it in my previous two Halloween series, but just never got around to it. So reviewing The Shining was like a big albatross that I was able to take care of this year. But on the whole, maybe with the exception of The Mummy's Hand, which I thought was mediocre, I've enjoyed all of the movies that I reviewed and making all the reviews for them. And at the risk of that sounding like a cop out answer saying, oh, they're all my favorites, I'm just a guy that has found a new love and respect for horror movies, preparing for that series. So at the risk of sounding like it's trying to be a cop out, I'm just I just enjoyed them all, maybe with the exception of The Mummy's Hand, which was just kind of so-so.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. So, my next question for you is, do you enjoy like, I mean, obviously right now we can't go into theaters, but how many horror movies do you try to watch each year?
That's a good question. I try and see as many as I can because if I've learned anything from doing Scary Mania, it's that the horror genre is so varied and so out there that in one year you could get something like The Curse of La Llorona, which is a straight up ghost movie, or you could get something like Happy Death Day to You, which is a bit of a horror comedy. Horror is so varied in terms of, you could get sci-fi horror or fantasy horror or something like a B movie. Like you really can't go wrong. And so I try and see as many as I can because it's so just it's so out there that it's like different flavors of ice cream. It's like one's vanilla, one's chocolate. Sometimes you get Rocky Road or mint chocolate, and you know I'm sure you understand my point.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. When the next couple questions are pretty fun. So, what is your favorite Halloween candy?
Oh, how long you got? um, well, I am a very big fan of the Reese's peanut butter cups. They shape like pumpkins. Those are among my favorites. I mean, I'm a big Reese's fan 365 days a year, but whenever they roll out the pumpkin ones, I'm like, it is officially the season. And then of course I've been a particular fan of Snickers and I'm actually a pretty big fan of Kit Kats as well. Like I don't know a ton of people who enjoy Kit Kats. I personally really do enjoy them. I think they're underrated.
Yeah. hmm so what has been your favorite Halloween costume that you've worn or that you've seen people wear?
Oh, well, I think for me, my two favorites was when I was about your age. I dressed up as Spider-Man because Spider-Man 2 had just come out and like Spider-Man Mania, I guess, was running wild. My friend who just got out of the Marines also dressed up like Spider-Man, and his little brother also dressed like Spider-Man. So all three of us were literally like the Spider-Man meme of them pointing at each other in the back of the hallway, like, hey. So we were that Spider-Man meme before it became the meme that we know. And then as far as an adult goes, my favorite has to be when I went as Green Lantern. And I did it up. I got the suit, I got the ring, I got the lantern, I teased up my hair with gel. I wanted to get those white contact lenses that change your eyes to like it's white color, but my mom said, "You're not doing that." And well, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
In terms of costumes I've seen other people wear, when I was at my Halloween pageant at high school, I think sophomore or junior year, one of my friends did a very impressive looking zombie, and he did it up too. He was big into makeup, so he had like the guts like coming out of his, not the guts, but like his face was made to look like it was split open, and he had the bloody shirt, and he had a milky eye. And when he was walking towards me, I'm like, "Shh, get away from me!" And he was like, "Hey, it's me," and I'm like, "Wow, you're really good at this." So bit of a long-winded answer, but it's the
Mhm.
journey, the destination was worth the journey.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. And my final question for you is, so in the past, as far as trick or treating goes, what has been the most impressive house that you've seen done trick or treating?
It's actually one that's in my neighborhood, about 5 or 6 doors down from me. This Our neighbors, they do it up. They've got like inflatables, they've got styrofoam tombstones, and they do something like to reflect the current year. Like this year, I was actually passing it this morning, and they had finally finished their their set for the year. And one of the tombstones read Johnny Bovid, and I will leave it up to you to figure out what that was referring to,
Mhm.
being COVID. And so I just, it's a lot of creativity from them. And I've never really said, I've never really stopped them and be like, "Hey, nice job on the yard." But that would be weird. But every time I've walked past it, I'm like, wow, they put a lot of time into it. And they've got lights, and they got like the yard decorations with the rotating things that you see, a ghost and a witch and all that. I'm sure you know what I mean, Micah. And they got the spider webs, and they got those scary looking fake looking spiders that always creep me out to no end. I could go on, but yeah, that house, they need to be paid to do something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of, some people are more simple, I would say, like hanging like simple like spider webs, for instance, but some like really go out, and I don't think kids don't really pay attention to like how much, how much is like is decorated. They just want candy. So yeah.
Yeah,
So
they especially do it up at Christmas time. I remember I was passing by a house, and they had their lights set up tuned to a radio station, and Christmas Eve Sarajevo by the Trans-Siberian Orchestra was playing, and they had the lights in tune to that song. I love that song, and so seeing the lights, just it mixed itself very well, like side road. But yeah, people put a lot of effort into their houses.
yeah. hmm So thank you for joining me for this. Hopefully, I'll be able to have either you and Rachel on for something. Maybe like we do like an ultimate Christmas movie tournament. That could be a lot of fun.
And
Um,
she's got like 7.25 billion Christmas movies to review over the next couple months. So
yeah.
I'd love to do that too, but let's just say we might have to send like a carrier pigeon just to check up on her, because she'll be like off the map or something.
Yeah, poor her. I've seen like their weekly schedules that they're posting. There's like good 7 or 8 things on there. Ugh. And then, it's just really busy over at the Homeworkers podcast. Leave the link down below. So yeah. So yeah, all the channels will be linked below. And again, Ryan, thank you for joining me. And yeah, so yeah, I hope everyone has a great Halloween out there. Stay safe, have fun, eat lots of candy, and bye.
Happy Halloween, my boils and ghouls.